Welcome to Millionaire Moves with Mike Mendiola. Today we're talking about something that most people know they should be doing, but don't.
Can you tell us some more on the Roth IRA? Are there any income stipulations or?
And so those things, those questions become paramount, right, to getting down to how we structure a plan and strategies, and that is correct. But what most people don't understand that.
So how do you get your money to work while you're sleeping? That's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to Millionaire Moves with Mike Mendiola. Today we're talking about something that most people know they should be doing, but don't. Either if you're 21 years old or if you're 50 years old, you're just getting started, or you feel like you're too late to the game, this episode is for you. Today we have our financial advisor, Nate Ervin, along with my co-host, Gabe Saavedra. Gabe Saavedra. So Gabe is a realtor, and you've had a pretty good month this month, right?
Yeah. It's been a really fortunate first quarter for sure. I would say this quarter alone, I've been able to help 15 families here in Houston, Texas. Actually, I was sitting down with my business partner yesterday. We're less than, I want to say, $10 million short of doing $500 million in volume in real estate here in Houston, Texas, which is huge. We're always talking about being the largest relocation team here in Houston, so to be actually able to back it up with some pretty solid numbers. I mean, we're sitting there talking like almost Ryan Serhant numbers, if y'all know who that is. I mean, $500 million in volume is pretty substantial, so we're stoked. We're stoked, yeah.
That's great. And of course, I'm Mike Mendiola with Responsive Mortgage. I'm your lender on panel here. So we're going to get into it and talk about the best way for someone to invest and how do you get your money to work for you while you're sleeping. So tell us a little bit about you, Nate, and what you do.
All right, so Nate Ervin, I am an investment advisor, and got in this business years ago. I've been doing what I've been doing now about 17 years. And it's funny, I was thinking about how I got into, why I wanted to get into this business. I spent 21 years in the Air Force, right? And one of the things I realized in the Air Force is that, and all the money I made in the Air Force, I didn't know how money works, right? So I lost a lot of money, didn't make a lot of money, right? But one day when I found out some of the simple concepts and rules about the money game, and that, if had I known those rules earlier, I could have made a lot of better decisions. I decided, this was something I was passionate about. And I also realized that if I didn't know these rules, none of my family knew them and none of my friends. And so I get excited now to share these concepts and rules with people to help them reach their financial goals.
So if you're getting hold of someone like someone's Nate's age, right, that's young, he's just starting to get into investing, what are 3 rules that you would give him to get started with?
Well, one of the biggest things that I found is that the number one thing that people do is they procrastinate. It is the biggest thing, right? And they think they have more time, right? And so people will put off waiting to invest until they're 65 or 70, which makes no sense, right? Because at that stage, now they feel that they're too old, right? But the younger you are is the best time to start investing, because you allow what's called compounding interest now to work for you, right, during those younger years, right? And places, which we'll get into a little bit later, places like banks and CDs don't offer the kind of compounding that you want to require for your investment.
So Nate, how many people have you helped get their finances in order, especially if you're starting with someone at a young age?
Yeah, quite a few. Of course, I can't count. I help a lot of clients. And one of the biggest things about investing is a lot of people think you need a lot of money to start, right? Now, if you got a lot of money, that's good. I can help you too, right? But the key is to change the mindset about money, right? See, most people don't pay themselves anything. So when it comes to investing, even if they start off with $100 a month, right, over a period of time, that can grow, right? But what it really does is change their mind about investing and paying themselves.
Right, and we mentioned compound interest earlier, right?
Right.
So for someone that doesn't know out there, how does that work? And then is this a long-term thing that takes 30 years, or do you see compounded interest usually within 10?
Yeah, you can definitely see compounded interest a lot sooner than that. But of course, there's what, you may have heard of a buy and hold strategy, right? Warren Buffett, right, uses that, and thought process is behind the buy and hold, right? So that means holding investments over a long period of time, allowing the compounder, right? And of course, the longer the years, the better the compound.
Right. And then if you were to throw an average rate that you've seen in your lifetime, like what would be the rate of that compounding interest?
Right. So if you look at the S&P, right, Standard & Poor's 500, top 500 companies, they have an average return of about 10.1%, right? So that's a great return, right? But in most cases, the S&P 500, like the Russell 2000, is an index.
Right.
Therefore, most companies or insurance vehicles will look to mirror that index. But our goal is to outpace the index.
Yeah.
In other words, to get better than the 10%. And we have some funds that are doing a lot better than that. I normally tell clients, right, 12% is good, because you want to go out and let's say I had a fund that did 40%.
Right.
That's not going to be what I'm going to use, right, because it may have only done 40% for that year, right? So on average, we only use 12% or better for returns that people get.
Still great.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
And someone, like for my daughter and for someone that's young like Gabe, and they're like, well, I don't have $50,000 to throw into the market right now. How do I get going? Can I do it with a couple $100 a month?
Yeah.
Is it going to be worth my time to do that?
Absolutely, right. And that's a lot of people think they can't do that, but certainly $100-200 a month, right? You can start. And now a lot of companies, depends on what that firm is, right? You're going to be able to talk to them if you come in with $200, right? They can call security on you, right? But with us, man, we look at really changing the mindsets of people. Therefore, they can start with $200 a month, and then we show them how to continue to build on that. One of the things that you're going to find out, most people, for example, that work a job have a 401k, right? They never hear from those people who hold that 401k. Well, where we differ, I believe, is that we got to have some one-on-one conversation, right? Which means I do an annual review with all my clients to find out where we are, how your account's grown, and if there's any changes that need to be made.
Absolutely, yeah. It's probably one of the biggest things, especially for people that are holding their 401ks and they're like, all my money's there. But for us older folks that have been through this, we've seen those companies dissolve and those 401ks disappear.
Absolutely.
Right? So always, even if you're on your 401k, you definitely want to be proactive and see where you can put that money, instead of just letting somebody else house your money and you have no idea what's going on.
That's a great question. Real quick, let me just interject when you said that, Mike. Because see, what people don't understand about the 401k, 401ks got established around 1978, 1980, right? And the reason that they established the 401ks was simply because companies were getting rid of pensions, right? So a company said that instead of having to pay you a pension, we're going to establish this 401k. Now, most people don't even match the 401k, and a lot of companies don't even give you a good match.
Right.
So what are the chances are by the time you come to the end of retirement with that company that 401k is going to fund your retirement?
Exactly.
It's slim to none. Right? And so a lot of times people just don't understand that. So we help move 401ks out, privatize their 401k, and then give them some better investment options.
And there's no risk for them to move that 401k out. They don't get any penalties. There's no tax penalties on that. They don't lose any of their income or any of their funds that they have. They're just moving it over, and it's a lateral move, right?
Right. And that is correct. But what most people don't understand, that if you take your 401k and they send you that check directly, they will hold back 20% of your money. So you're right. You've got to move that to another firm. So now they'll send you that money, and then there's no cost to move that money after you got a firm that it's going to, though.
Yeah, that's huge, right? So, and a lot of people aren't aware of that.
Yeah,
right?
That's exactly right.
So,
is there a certain vehicle that you use for that? Because in real estate, we have like 1031 exchanges, so you can take the proceeds from the sale of one property and put that into 1 to 3 properties. To use, I think there's one in the insurance world, 1035 exchange. Is that what y'all use?
No. So when you're moving a 401k, right? A 401k works just like a traditional IRA, right? Okay. They are both tax deferred entities, right? Mm-hmm. So when you move a 401k over, right, it'll roll over into a traditional IRA. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people say, well, what about a Roth? Well, if your 401k was a traditional 401k, you can only move it into a traditional IRA. You can change it to a Roth after that, right? But that's the vehicle you're going to use, right, for the rollover.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Can you tell us some more on the Roth IRA? Are there any income stipulations or what should people know? Because like myself, being a young guy, all I hear about is a Roth. But you reach a certain income threshold and then a Roth becomes pretty much null and void.
Right. And so the 2 IRAs, of course, traditional one, and mainly I only tell my clients that only if you need a tax deduction should you really do a traditional IRA, right? But the Roth is the best IRA that's out there. simply because of the tax-free money. In a traditional one, you're going to hold off on the tax, it'll grow tax deferred. But in a Roth, you're going to pay those taxes up front. So all the growth of that money inside of a Roth, that's all your money. And so what I share with people that don't own a business, Roth IRA is the best thing. Now, if you're talking about business owners, you're talking about putting more money in, then a SEP IRA is going to be a lot better. A SEP IRA, you can put up to $70,000 a year. In a Roth IRA, $7,500. Or if you're almost 50 years old, you can do $8,600, right? And so if you're a business owner, man, the SEP IRA is the way to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
So, yeah, because getting into that, and especially for people that have kids and they're trying to set them up for college, and they're like, I'm looking at this 529 plan. I'm looking at Roth IRA plans for them that they can cash it out and use it for school without a tax penalty, right?
Yep.
Out of those two options, and because people ask me, I got a 529 set up. I'm like, that necessarily isn't the best option for you. There's other options, right?
Yeah.
So can you speak on that a little bit?
And all of my clients, right, that say that, I want to do something for the kids, right? And so it is, 529, some kind of college savings plan, right? But one of my questions to them is, are you 100% sure the kid's going to college, right? And some of the kids, they say, I got money, I ain't going to college, right? And again, the 529 is a tax-deferred entity, right? So I tell them, say, listen, if you're not 100% sure, your other option could be to invest in a mutual fund. Right. So now when little Johnny turns 18 and lets you know he's out the house and he's running off with Sarah, right? You have money to give him instead of, your money's tied up in a 529, right? And you can only use it really for school purposes, right?
Yeah.
So I think the biggest key, right, and this is what I love most about what I do, is having a conversation to find out what those clients' needs are, right? I cannot help you until I know what you want. Right. And so those things, those questions become paramount, right, to getting down to how we structure a plan and strategies for families based on what they want. So excellent question, right?
Yeah.
But always giving them the option.
So if you're starting somebody out, what are the top 3 accounts that you would give them, right, to get started with? Which would be the first one, and then the 3 that you would structure them with?
Okay. Yeah, so every family, right, and I don't care how much money you make, right? Whether you make, $1,000 a month, $50,000 a month, right? It's having 3 fundamental accounts that I share with every family. Those accounts, first one is the emergency fund, right? 3 to 6 months of your income in a place that's set up just for emergencies. Now, the purpose of the emergency fund, right, is so that you don't have to use credit cards really for anything. You become your own self-sufficient banker. Right. So the average family, right, the tires blow out on their car, the refrigerator breaks down. What do? They go buy that with their credit cards, right? Credit card going to be at 19 or higher percentage, right? So they're adding more money on top of something that had they had an adequate emergency fund, they could have paid for themselves. So it's going to help reduce their debt because they're not going to use their credit card as much, right? Second account is what I call a short-term goal. I invest that in what's called an income fund, right? Now, what I love most about that, I have a lot of clients, right? Like Gabe, he goes out, someone buys, sells a property, right? They got money they're sitting on, right? They don't know what to do. They don't want to tie the money up. They said, man, in probably about 2 years, 3 years, I want to utilize this $200,000-$300,000. That's the kind of money we park in short-term goals. Now they have access to their money. Here's the key, though. It grows better than what you're going to get for your money sitting in the bank, right? So now your money's growing. You get the chance to pull it out. No penalties to pull your money out. And now you can exercise money there in that short-term goal. Normally for things 3 to 5 years out. Then the last one, that is your retirement. That's your long-term planning, right? Things like 401ks, IRAs, managed accounts. We'll talk a little bit about that later on, right? That's your long-term goal. Now, Mike, what I found out, I've sat down with a lot of clients, right? They tell, oh man, Nate, I got my IRA going, man. I said, that's good. I said, that's awesome. How old are you? I'm 30 years old. I'm fully funding my IRA. That's awesome. Do you have a short-term goal account? No. Do you have an emergency fund account? No. And then here's the question. So if something big happens and you need to get money, where are you going to get it from? From your retirement. How old are you? You're 30, right? You got to be 59 and a half or else you're going to inquire a big penalty, right? So education is a key and things that make sense for clients to move forward.
Right, and that's huge, right? Because if you're like, hey, I'm putting my money in here and I'm putting all of it, and then you
Yeah.
can't access it without a penalty.
Yeah.
And life happens.
That's right.
Right? And then you're like, oh no, what do we do?
Yeah.
Now you're like, I just invested all this money. All my gains are gone because I got to pull it back out.
Man, that's crazy too.
And that happens.
Yeah, it does. Simply because whoever sold them that didn't give them any education.
Yeah.
Right? They just wanted to sell.
And for you, Gabe, they said you're just starting out this journey, right? Yeah. 21 years old, you're buying a house. It's your first big investment in yourself,
awesome.
and it's a great investment, especially being your age.
Yeah.
You know, but when you're looking at investing and you're like, hey, it's just all I see is a bunch of numbers out there. Like where do I put all this together? Like what's going through your mind and where do you start?
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I've been able to adopt the idea of being pretty risk tolerant in my 20s and 30s, really, I would say, to kind of put it big picture, because I think what's really important is understanding my big picture and my big goals. And then I'll land the plane really where I'm at right now is I don't really want to have kids until I'm probably like 32, 35. So that gives me about a 14-year runway, being 21. Let's just go ahead and call it 10 years. But in that case, like, I can purchase the house, which that's my first large financial investment. One, it makes sense because I'm in the real estate industry myself, right? I'm a realtor. So it's going to help me grow my business within that community. As a matter of fact, I've already sold a couple of homes just from having my house there. Mm-hmm. So great investment there. I've already realized some small compound interest. But the other thing is, like, one, the value of the home isn't going to drop. I know that for sure because I bought it as soon as the neighborhood opened. So I'm one of the first people that even signed a contract in there. They had no gauge on pricing. So your boy pranced in there and got himself a nice little deal and signed that contract. But really, I mean, going back to the whole big goal is I want to be, almost as risky as I possibly can be until I have kids. Because the way I think about it is I don't have any dependents yet. So realistically, if I need to go live under a bridge, I'm okay with doing that. Like, I just need a laptop, a phone, and maybe a vehicle.
I can make it happen.
Yeah, and I can, well, that's the thing. I've learned within this industry is I can satisfy my clients' needs and grow my business as long as I have a phone, a computer, and like an office to go to, which that's not going away. So right now, whether it's, investing into other companies that are in the real estate business or even, other industries that interest me, like opening, like somebody had mentioned to me investing in an oil rig in West Texas. And I was like, how much does it cost? And they told me, and I was like, that's actually not bad. Like, tell me more, which is really like outside.
Return on investment. Right?
No, exactly. It's really, I would say out of kind of the normal big box. My largest goal right now is, one, closing on the house, which I feel a lot better about it. Having the 6 months in reserves, which I think I'm at like 3 or 4 months right now. Mm-hmm. I made the joke to you that I threw the down payment into the market. If you don't know, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, when there's external turmoil that goes on, it's a pretty good idea to throw your money into the market. Not as far as mortgages go. We'll let Mike touch on that. But I took some money and threw it into the market, and I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. Like, I mean, if I don't get it back, it's okay. I'll make it back before I close. But really, right now, it's setting up the 6 months in reserves for the security, and then really probably jumping next into like a short-term goal. For me, what I've made abundantly clear to every investor that I've sat down with, especially Nate, was like, I need 100. This is also where I think it's really important that you come very crystal clear on what your goal is. My goal is 100,000, and this is why. I think about it like this. If I have $1 million business proposition presented to me, that's a 10% investment into that company being vested. That's also, that's 25% on a $500,000 house. That's not typical for the investment range, right? It's probably about, actually that's wrong. It's 25% on a $400,000 house. It's 20% on a $500,000 house. So there you go. You got a conventional loan. You can go ahead and rent that house out or do, some form of external financing for an investment loan. The other thing is like $100,000 if, in theory, you have hospital bills or something. Obviously you have insurance for that, but $100,000 should be able to pretty much, get you started at least. I don't know why that's kind of been like my magic number for cash on hand. If I need it, I can have it in my bank account in 5 minutes. Apart from that, I don't think so much about, and I feel like this is where my industry has somewhat skewed my perception on investing. Not that there's anything wrong with, opening an account with Nate or opening a brokerage account. I absolutely believe in that. and this is where like a 21-year-old's belief is probably going to differ from these older bucks. For me, especially being in the industry that I'm in, until I'm 30, my goal is 5 total properties. I'm going to have my primary residence and then 4 investment properties. The way I think about it is through using vehicles like a 1031 exchange. If I have those 4 properties by 30, in theory, by 40, I would turn around and use a 1031 to sell them. Let's say I multiply them by 3, correct? That then turns into 12 properties at 40. And then I do that again at 50. Now it's, what did I say, 12? So you'd have 36 properties, right? And in that case, like, my kids, not me, because I'm going to be able to enjoy, my life and the fruits of my labor as much as I want. But for my kids, that then leaves either 36 properties or I turn that into 3 huge commercial investments, right? Like imagine the value on 36 properties. So this is really like long-term. This is like 30 years from now. But imagine owning 3 commercial strip spaces and then we lease them out and do all this stuff. And then it's like, okay, cool. There's the kids' like college fund or there's the kids' trust fund baby money. Like that's the way I've always thought about it. And then getting vested into the market is something I need to do. But really my one overarching goal for this year was to get the house.
Right, get the house, get started, right?
Yeah.
So, how many other 21-year-olds have put this much thought into that part of it, which is amazing.
I know, I just blew that out
right?
like
Which
30 years.
But in saying that, like, what pitfalls or dangers would he go into, Nate? One being super aggressive, because it sounds like he's having a very aggressive game plan of getting there. But what are the things that maybe he needs to watch out for and to protect himself from?
Yeah. And I think and that's great too with the, being aggressive, right? But one of the biggest things is, and of course, it seems like you're starting to structure that, is having a plan, right? Because see, most people don't plan to fail. They simply fail to have a plan. And so you can have great ideas, but if you don't have a plan behind it, then guess what? At some point, that's going to tear up. So it seems like Gabe's got a plan. So I think that, when it comes to investing, right, which is basically the function of money. And so when you understand the function of money, then you can do things like you're talking about, right? Because you understand the function of money. Most people don't understand the function of money.
Right.
Here's their thinking, right? Most people grew up what I call heterosuggestion, right? What that means simply is you learned about money, what you heard your mom, your dad, right? What the TV told you. That is your only learning of money. That is how you operate, right? I don't know about you, Mike, maybe you, but I never sat down at the kitchen table with my parents on a discussion of money.
Never.
Right?
The only thing we ever talked about is like you got up, you went to work, and you paid your bills and you fed your family. And that was it.
That was
it.
It
Was not hey, take 20% of what your income is and put that into investing and savings. It was like, just work hard.
Exactly.
Just keep working hard. Right?
And most families were just like that, right? And so, Gabe's young, right? So I think the information that you're getting right now, you have a lot of options, right? Right? And you have a lot of options to put strategies together that make sense. One of the things I always talk about is passive income, right? So if you talk about rental properties, that sort of thing, then that's income that's got coming in whether you're there or not. Yeah. And what most people...
That's the money that we're talking about that you're making while you're sleeping.
That's right, that passive flow of income. And your goal ought to be is to really one day, as you mentioned, work yourself out of what you're doing because you've got so much passive income coming in, you don't really have to work. Like what I do right now, I'll do until I'm done. Why? Because I love it. But what's my goal? To build up enough passive income, if I can say I don't want to work anymore, I don't have to worry about it. And so right now, it's a great opportunity for you because you're starting young. I wish I knew today what I knew at your age, right?
Right. I say it all the
then
time.
I could just be dancing all the way to the bank, right?
I'm excited just to see how, I'm super pumped just to see how this plays itself out and see how he is at our age.
Oh, yeah.
There with my Dumbo ears all the time.
Well, I'll still probably be working. So funny enough, I had a bachelor party this weekend for one of my clients, and that's a hint at how I run my business. I've gone on many trips with clients. I've been invited to many weddings, many bachelor parties, because I'm not the guy that's sitting there like, hey, how are you, Nate? Nate, great. Are you planning on buying a house? I think you need to use me. No, it's like, hey, Nate, like, tell me about your family. Like, what are your life goals? Just getting interpersonal. But we're on our way to dinner. We went to Taste of Texas in Houston, and all my clients are in the car because it's a family. Like it's an older brother, younger brother. They have, another brother that wants to purchase a house, and then another younger brother. And it's like, holy cow, like I'm literally a brother. And we're sitting there, and Chris, he's like, man, what do you want to do with your life? Like, you're 21 years old. It seems like you got it pretty figured out, but do you have a plan? Or he's like, do you ever think you're going to stop working? Or do you ever see yourself not working in real estate? And it was a really thought-provoking question that I had, I guess, asked myself or thought about before, and kind of thinking about like almost the money under the pillowcase that's just going to come in while you're asleep. I'm one of those people that I really don't think I'll ever stop working, but at some point it's going to shift from, and right now I don't even feel like I have to work. Like, I get to go to work. I want to wake up and answer the calls and the texts and the emails. But at some point it's like, dude, like, this is, if I showed you my calendar for this week, you'd be like, bro, are you serious? Because it's ridiculous. Like, my calendar's packed from 7 a.m. to like 9 p.m. every day.
The same, right? Blessed to be stressed.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I prayed about that on my way to the office. I was like, dear Lord, lift this stress off of me. Like, I know exactly what I prayed for, and you're granting my prayers right now. Nonetheless, I was like, okay, what am I going to do when I hit, because my goal was always like 40. If I don't want to go into the office, or I don't want to show a client, or I don't want to go to a listing appointment, I don't want to. Like, I don't have to. If the kids have a baseball game or a soccer game or whatever it may be, like, I'm going to be there. I'm not going to be at work. You can speak with one of my assistants. Right. And that's huge to me, but I think we're like getting aligned within your goals, or maybe what a passion project may be when you're, 40, 50 years old. Yeah. Like, for me, I think one of those would be opening a gym. Nate always picks on me for going to the gym every morning. But it's awesome. Like, that, for me, investing into a gym or multiple gym locations wouldn't feel like work. Right. And I'd be the most passionate business owner. As passionate as I am in my real estate business right now. But I totally don't even know how we got off on this skewed topic here. But yeah, I think it's one of those things to where you get really aligned, especially for the younger individual, or if you're older. Like, take the risk now. Yeah. Like, the first thing you need to do is just go ahead and do it. Yeah. First off. Yeah.
So it brings up to another point, right? Like, an old guy like me, and they're like, hey, we've just been working. We don't have anything going on. I didn't save anything. You've had a divorce. They took everything. Yeah. But you're like, I got to get myself on track. I'm 50 years old. Mm-hmm. I got 15 years, 20 years. What the heck am I going to do in 20 years? I haven't started. Yeah. What do you tell people like that when they're coming to you and they're looking for advice?
Yeah, there's a book by, I think it's Dave Box, say Start Late, Finish Rich, right? Yeah. And so, of course, you would want to start 20, 30 years ago, right? But where you got to start where you are. And really, that's what life is all about. I share a story, right? Because people talk about, oh, Nate, I'm too old to invest, right? So I'll ask a question. I said, let me ask you a question. I say, let's say you had cancer, God forbid, and somebody found the cure to cancer. Would you want to take that cure, or would you just say, well, I'm too old right now, I'm just going to let it ride, right? You're going to be all over that cure, right? So when you find out where you are financially, that's when you got to start, right? And this is where most people, right, they do two things. They make the excuse they're too old. Now they depend on Social Security, right? Which is another horrible thing, right? Not realizing that Social Security is a pension fund, which means a pension fund can run out, right? And there's 10,000 baby boomers that turn age 65 every single day. That's going to happen like that for the next 25 years, right? And so you cannot bank on Social Security. I don't know if you ever heard of what they called in our industry the three-legged stool, right? A three-legged stool, right? And the three legs on that stool, one is pensions, the other is Social Security, and the other is personal savings. Now, imagine you sitting on that stool. Pensions are shattered. Companies got rid of pensions, right? Now, take Social Security. I just said that's a pension plan. That ain't going to be stable very long. So guess what that depends on? Personal savings. Right. So now, right, instead of being left up to the government or pensions now, it's left up to you. And if you don't have the necessary information and to get your finances on track, you're sitting on a bad stool.
Right. And something I've heard you mention in the past is the 3 Ds of investing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when you're speaking to those, when someone ignores those, what's the biggest fault on that?
Yeah. So with those 3 Ds, right? First D being the biggest one, discipline. Right. I mean, we some undisciplined people, right?
Yeah.
Save $50.
Well, everything that's going on in the Middle East right now, people are freaking out, right? They're moving money everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
The panic is setting in.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
And it's not even on action. It's just on the information that's coming out.
Exactly right, man. Exactly right. So discipline is a big one, right? Next one is diversification. When you're looking at your assets, where you're putting them, diversifying that. So all your money is not in one bucket, right? But you've got some good diversification. And then the fourth one, dollar cost averaging. Right, so we talked a little bit about that, like what's going on in the market right now, right? You and I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, man. So everybody's panicking, the market is going down, man. Everything's on sale, and then what just happened a few days ago, right? It went back up. Why? Because of what somebody said. Oh yeah, we spoke to them. Boom, market made a rebound, right? But guess what? Millions, if not billions of dollars were already made during that time from when it went down to when it came back up. Absolutely, right? And so just like you and I talked about, that's the best time to jump in. Right? And most people that start investing, you know what they do? They wait till it's high. Oh, the market's high, I'm going to invest.
Wrong time.
Wrong time, right? Yeah. So we teach people that dollar cost averaging is all about the ebbs and the flows in the market, right? Let it ride. Right, and you'll watch your money make money for you. That's what the wealthy know.
Right, and that's something you and I talked about.
Yeah,
you know, and it just people get so scared, and they're like, "Well, am I going to put it in? Is it going to continue going down?"
Right.
It's like, hey, it's always got to come back up.
That's right.
It's always got to come back up. Right. So
absolutely.
And one of the things I've noticed, especially over the last 10 plus years, is like the news of anything moves the market.
Sure does.
And I don't know if that was always the case before, right?
Yeah.
Is it just because of social media? And like, you know, with even Elon with Twitter, he would put a tweet out there and it would move stocks either up or down immediately, right? There's no action.
Yeah.
It's just words.
Just talk. That's exactly right.
When did investors get so finicky when that news came out? Is everybody just trying to beat the market?
Yeah.
They're trying to outsmart it?
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're doing, right? Because it's not trying to time the market.
Yeah.
It's time in the market that benefits you, right? And if you think about it, since 1929, the Great Depression, right? Market went down, right? But guess what? It went right back up, right? And there's 4 stages you look at. It's going to grow, which we call peak. You get to contraction, and then guess what? It's going to come right back around again, right? So even when it hits contraction, which would mean, oh man, you know, recession, bottomed up, everything, it's going to come back up, right? And it's just a matter of you know, and like you said too, Mike, right? What people say, the markets respond to that, right? And the market's whole position is to correct what's going on, right? And so they're going to get a pattern, just like the current administration, right? They've got to get a feel for what the current administration is doing, then it makes a correction, right? So no matter who's there, they still got to find that pattern, and then that's what the market does, right?
So one of the most important rules to invest in that beginners just don't know, you know, and this could be for old and young, right?
Yeah.
What, like the biggest rules, and where can someone go actually learn this stuff if they want to just try to learn it on their own without contacting a proven wizard here, like we have in Nate?
Well, one of the things, matter of fact, this is the thing, Mike, that actually got me started in this business, right? And it's about the rules of the money game. Now, you guys have played sports, right? You play sports, maybe basketball, football, right? So think about board games as well. Any sport that you play, you had to learn what? The rules. Because if you did not know the rules, would the coach put you in? No. You're not playing in any game.
You're not going to stay in there very long.
Exactly. Not at all. Hey, if you don't know, right, you're not, why? Because the rules are important, right? Well, guess what? Money is about a game of rules. And if you don't know the rules of the money game, then guess what? You're making bad decisions, right? So one of the first rules that I learned, Mike, is called the rule of 72, right? Most people never heard of it. When I first joined this business 17 years ago, I had never heard of that rule either.
Yeah.
But it cost me $300,000 to $500,000 during my Air Force career.
Dang.
Here's why. Well, the rule 72 is called, right? It's a rule created by Albert Einstein, right? It is a part of one of the 8 wonders of the world, right? And how this rule works is based on percentage rate. So let's say that I'm Nate, I work at the bank. And let's say, Mike, that your great-great-great-grandpa passed away, left you an inheritance of $10,000. You brought that to me, your banker, to invest for you. I took your $10,000 one-time deposit, gave you a 3% return. The way the rule works now is 3% goes into 72 24 times, meaning your money doubles every 24 years. So 10,000 turns to 20,000 in 24 years, and another doubling period at 48 years, that turns to $40,000.
Right.
You are probably not excited about that to come back 48 years later just to get $40,000.
Right.
But let's say I found you a little bit higher interest rate at 6%. 6 goes into 72, now 12 times. Now your money doubles every 12 years instead of every 24 years. Right? And for the sake of time, we'll jump down to 48 years. Now you have $160,000 versus 40,000. Now a little bit better?
Huge difference.
Right, huge difference. Now, take a guess at this for me if you can. So, Mike, at 3%, I gave you 40,000, right? Gabe, at 6%, I gave you 160,000. What do you think you would have gotten off of a 12% rate of return? Just a guess.
It's going to be about like 480.
About 480, good guess, Mike.
360.
About 360, right? So you guessed about what I guessed when I first saw this, right?
Yeah.
12 goes into 72. 6 goes into 72 12 times. So now your money doubles every 6 years instead of every 12 years, instead of every 24 years. So now 10,000 at a 12% is $2.5 million. Same $10,000, just a different return, right? That's compounding interest. Now, most people got their money where? In the bank.
Right.
What do you think the bank does with your money once you give it to them?
They're doing what you said.
And they don't wrap it up in a brown paper bag and set up on the shelf and say, when Gabe returns, there's this money. What banks do is they invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and real estate. And according to the industry experts, they make anywhere between 12 and 28% return off whose money? Your money, right?
And you can be doing the same thing, but you're letting the bank do it for you.
Exactly right.
Because you want to
Borrow some money.
Yeah, so
you want to put that mattress money, you want to bury it in the yard.
exactly right. And it's funny that you say that, right? Because when people don't understand that, the banks are getting rich because we refuse to operate in the rules that the wealthy operate in. Right. See, the wealthy understand that the function of money is multiplication. Poor mindset said the function of money for me to pay my bills. Middle income mindset said, the function of money for me to have things.
Yeah.
I got a nice house, I got a nice car, my credit score is good. But the wealthy say the function of money is for multiplication. It's got to multiply, right? So I want to teach families, right, as they're investing, let's multiply that money. Let's get that money to working for you, right?
Right.
While you're sleeping, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I want my money working for me, right?
Yeah, and so in terms of when you look at all the different investments, and we look at obviously what we do for a living is real estate, right? And we are guiding our people, and we're saying, hey, this is a great investment opportunity for you. Gabe brings somebody to me, and we're like, this is their second, third, fourth, fifth investment house.
Yeah.
How does all of that play into their long-term goals?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question, right? So again, it's about the conversation, right? So when I'm looking at a client, right, I want to look at what their short-term goals and what their long-term goals are.
Right.
I encourage my clients. I say, listen, no sense making all that money and you don't take vacations or anything like that. You need to go
Right.
spend some money. You got money that you're investing, you're saving, you're turning that hopefully into long-term money, but you got to have money to go play with.
Right.
Right? You got to have money to go play with. I like the idea. My wife and I, we love we're going to take 2 or 3 vacations every year.
Right.
Right? We're going to have some fun. Right? So we're going to work hard, play hard, build up our assets, right? Because our goal is to build passive income, right? $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 a month just for sleeping, right? That's our goal, right? But we want to be able to enjoy life because, we don't know when that day is going to be. Whether you're 18 or whether you're 95, you don't know when your allotted time that you've been given is going to be up, right? And so it kind of goes back to purpose, right? And I'll leave you with this, right? And it's the same way with money. If you don't understand the purpose of a thing, you are destined to abuse it. If you don't understand its purpose. That's in life, right? That's even with people, right? And when people don't understand your purpose, guess what? You'll be abused as well.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great way to end it, right? So it's, well, Nate, man, you came here, you blessed us with all your knowledge. I definitely appreciate it. I got a lot out of it. I hope, Gabe, looks like Gabe got something. He's got a good game plan.
My brain's a little swollen right now.
But no, it was amazing. Thank you for all of that. The savings ideas, the sharing ideas, how to invest, how to make your money sleep for you. or make money while it's sleeping,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So if people want to find you, the next big real estate agent, how do they get you?
Go on to Instagram or Facebook. My handle is Living Houston with Gabe. Right now, with buying my first house at 21, I'm doing this entire series, taking all of y'all through the build process of a brand new home, going through financial mistakes, going through financial wins, and really just the entire process itself. So very intimate, very touchy. And it's super fun. So go and check me out, Living Houston with Gabe on Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome. And then Nate, where they want all this knowledge, where do they get you at?
Yeah, they can definitely contact me through Facebook and Instagram as well, Nate Ervin. And again, just have a conversation, right? It doesn't cost anything to sit down with me and consult with me, and we'll definitely put some strategies together for you.
Absolutely. Like I've had quite a few conversations with Nate. It's always just great information, and I get to use it in my daily life. So definitely hit up Nate. If you're looking for me, hit me up at Mike the Mortgage Pro,
Yeah.
on Instagram and Facebook. And then, of course, thanks to our sponsor, PVB Everglow. If you guys are looking for permanent lighting this year and not wait for Christmas, beat the rush. Go to pvblights.com and we'll get you a free quote. But yeah, anyway, this is another episode of Mike Millionaire's Moves.
All right.
And if you liked what you saw, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next time.